Ah, the beautiful 8-bit crunchy sounds of loading up your first Pokemon game on the Game Boy. This introductory tune to the land of pocket monsters was a catchy, anthemic jam for kids growing up in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. Pokemon was a phenomenon like no other at that time. There was merchandise, an anime TV series, and a highly successful trading card game as well. Everything from a South Park parody, to the Lavender Town creepypasta, to the Pokemon Go craze has demonstrated Pokemon's enormous reach and popularity. Hell, even 2012 presidential candidate Herman Cain quoted a Donna Summer song from Pokemon the Movie 2000, not once, but twice during the campaign trail.
A poet once said, "Life can be a challenge, life can seem impossible, but it's never easy when there's so much on the line."
I believe these words came from the Pokémon movie. The media pointed that out. I'm not sure who the original author is, but it says a lot about where I am with my wife and my family, and where we are as a nation. Life can be a challenge. Life can seem impossible. It's never easy when there's so much on the line. But you and I can make a difference.
While the familiar music from those first Game Boy games has evolved to become more orchestral and refined over the years, the core melody and songwriting of that original Pokemon opening theme still remains. It's to be expected that sound quality and graphics have greatly improved in the series since Pokemon Red and Blue's humble beginnings, but after 23 years since the game's debut, and as we approach the 8th generation of Pokemon, nearly every other aspect of the games has remained the same. You start off in a small town, picking one of 3 starting Pokemon, fire, water, and grass types always, from the local Poke Professor, and then set off on a turn-based RPG where you collect Pokemon, battle trainers, trade and battle Pokemon with friends, earn gym badges, and ultimately complete the mostly linear story of the game. And of course, to be the very best, like no one ever was, you've got to catch 'em all, which is another goal to strive for with each new generation of Pokemon released. It's no surprise to players after all these years that the gameplay is formulaic, and certainly that aspect attributes to the series' continued success after all this time. Fundamentally, Pokemon is a fantastic turn-based RPG that continues to bring joy to new and old players alike. There is depth to the series if you're looking for it, but it can easily be enjoyed by someone trying their first RPG as well. However, while I am still a fan of the traditional Pokemon style introduced to me by Pokemon Blue in the late 90s, I can't help but feeling that the series is gasping for fresh air after over 2 decades of stagnation. There were certainly glimpses of exciting features and different aspects I've enjoyed about recent Pokemon spin-offs like Pokemon Go for smartphones and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu for the Switch, but none of these games felt like they reached their full potential in a way that innovates but still excites old-school fans of the series. The Nintendo Switch is a phenomenal console that has built up an incredible library containing some of Nintendo's best games of all time in just 3 short years since the system was first released. When it was announced that a traditional Pokemon game would be coming to the platform, I was ecstatic. Rumors swirled around the internet that this new generation would be a complete reinvention of the series, set to reach new heights and destined for a near-perfect Metacritic score. Similar to how Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey were able to massively reinvigorate those series while still harnessing the old-school game elements that fans have grown to love over the years. Last month, we finally got our first glimpse at the new entries to the Pokemon series on the Switch. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield will mark the 8th generation of Pokemon, as well as the first traditional Pokemon game on a home console. These new titles push the graphics even farther into the 3D realm that we've seen Pokemon trend towards over the years. Yet at the same time, the graphical quality still isn't on par with some of the Switch's best looking titles, like Breath of the Wild. While there are bound to be additional small changes revealed over time, the gameplay is shown to be largely following the popular formula the series has come to be defined by. There's nothing that looks particularly bad about Sword and Shield. I'm sure I'll pick up a copy and enjoy it like everybody else, but at the same time, nothing looks particularly exciting about Sword and Shield either. How have we still not gotten an open-world 3D Pokemon game that fans have fantasized about for the past 23 years? There have been multiple fan games, mods, and art pieces that try to demonstrate how a game like this could look and operate, but none of them are officially licensed by Nintendo and still lack the depth and quality of a big budget title. Why can't we have one or more Pokemon follow us around like in the anime and in Pokemon Go? Why can't we encounter Pokemon from multiple generations in their natural environments and see them at their actual size relative to humans? Even adding co-op story gameplay or finding ways to expand the online aspects could be extremely exciting and really add a freshness to the series. Nintendo definitely operates very differently from most Western gaming companies and sometimes seems to lag behind on basic features like a decent online system or putting the Virtual Console on the Switch, but there's no doubt that Nintendo still produces some of the most innovative and enjoyable content in the entire gaming market. With so much player demand for a Pokemon game with these features, Nintendo has to know that this is something people really desire. And with the increased popularity of open world games like Minecraft, Skyrim, The Witcher, Grand Theft Auto, and Red Dead Redemption, you'd think Nintendo would want to cash in on the trend. It seems like a no-brainer for Nintendo. The game will literally print money while also pleasing the rabid Pokemon fanbase. I'm sure someone out there will comment, but they are innovating. It's the first traditional Pokemon game on a console. They upgraded the graphics. Look, there's even new Pokemon. But the problem is that graphics upgrades, sound upgrades, new characters, these are all the features you expect to see in a new entry to the series. That's the absolute minimum that you expect to see updated. It's new ways of doing things, innovations, and thoughtful homage to the past titles that are unexpected and exciting aspects that people crave for new entries to a series. Of course, some series still remain popular and profitable, churning out the same experience year after year without much change, particularly a lot of sports titles like Madden, FIFA, NHL, but also series such as Call of Duty and Battlefield. But Pokemon is special, not only through my own rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, but legitimately. It's literally the highest grossing media franchise of all time, beating out Star Wars, Mario, Harry Potter, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and again, literally every other media franchise ever created. Pokemon has earned an estimated $90 billion since its inception. Fans shouldn't be complacent with Pokemon only offering identical experiences for RPGs in the franchise. Pokemon offers a quirky, rich world of well-designed creatures and thrilling adventures to be had on the journey to becoming a Pokemon master. It's a bit sad that most of the lore building and emotional content of Pokemon has come in the form of anime shows and movies, which reflect the idea of an open-world Pokemon game much better than any of the games in the series. Who could forget Mewtwo's profound and inspiring quote at the end of Pokemon the first movie?
I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
I guess what I'm trying to say here is, well, I believe these words came from a Herman Cain movie. I don't know who the original author is, but it says a lot about where I'm at in life and where we're at as members of the Pokemon Nation. Life can be a challenge. Life can seem impossible. It's never easy when so much is on the line. But you can make a difference. The difference I'd like to see in the chaotic, nihilistic insanity that is our universe is just a damn open-world Pokemon game with some exciting and refreshing gameplay features. So Nintendo, if you're watching, hire me as your in-house Pokemon master and advisor. It's you and me. I know, it's my destiny.